Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Um, Obviously, I'm exposed pretty heavily to oil and natural gas, and I've been watching natural gas in Europe because if natural gas, when watching the weather and natural gas and how those are interacting, we've got a cold spike coming in Europe, and we could see inventory really get drawn down here. So I'm kind of watching it to see what the prices of natural gas are doing over in those markets because I think it's going to have an impact on natural gas in America because I think we're going to send our natural gas over. It's going to increase the price here. And eventually, I think this is going to impact the entire world as everything is pretty interconnected. So the worse off these areas are, I think it's going to impact the prices where we're at in America. So I'm going to jump into this article real quick, let you guys know what's going on. It's natural gas prices could spike as Europe braces for its first cold blast. Temperatures on European mainland and in the UK are set to slide starting next week. This first cold blast of the season is going to test the energy supplies across Europe. Higher heating demand could intensify the already fierce battle for liquefied natural gas cargoes. It says after months of a roller coaster move in European natural gas prices as energy producers and traders jockeyed for position ahead of what could be a brutal winter. All bets are now off as Europe is set to get its first cold blast of winter season, putting the continent's already scant energy supplies under pressure. Looking down here, it says it's warned its 9 million customers to prepare for an icy blast that could last as long as 6 weeks. That's quite substantial. Now, looking at, I pulled up the inventory here. The energy crunch. European gas storages are way below the 10-year average. We've got the cloud around the average, and it's far, far below the average, and this could really start to come on down. And with the first cold blast and it lasting 6 weeks in duration here, I mean, that could put a huge strain on natural gas in Europe. And I'm looking at the natural gas prices here in America, and we're starting to see them firm up a little bit. We could see a big run here in the short term. It says Europe, whose natural gas inventories and storage are near record lows for this time of the year, due to the continent's catastrophic fossil fuel policies and scramble to promote green energy at all costs, even though it is nowhere near ready to take the reins from legacy energy. We'll be particularly sensitive to cold snaps in the coming months, with gas prices up for a second week after surging to records in October. Extra supplies promised by Russia have so far been negligible, and Norwegian flows have been reduced because of heavy maintenance. This is a nice little setup here. It says this is going to test the energy supplies across Europe. A high-pressure system could also bring more northerly and colder airflows over Central and Southern Europe by the end of the month. So it could impact a very large area in Europe. While European gas prices have dropped from record highs, they are still almost 4 times higher than normal for this time of year, sending electricity and European emission permits surging. Now let's look at the other chart here. I brought that one up. What do we do in technical analysis here is you kind of come in, it came to a point here, it fell at the bottom side, but now we're starting to, we'll call it move on sideways. The downward movement here is squaring up to potentially move to the upside. And that's what I look for in the charts, is this squaring up of the pattern. It comes down, it goes sideways, and then we come up and move on up. So if we get this cold snap and inventory really starts to come on down, I think this price could firm up and move on higher. So I've been watching this through here. It says, according to AccuWeather's Roy, the cooler temperatures in the south will coincide with stormy weather over the Mediterranean and threats of flooding and mudslides. This will bring big swings in wind gyration. And that's another thing to look at is what is the wind and power generation? What is that doing? If wind drops on down, then you're going to have to burn more natural gas because that is what covers the electricity shortage. So this is lining up for a really bad scenario for Europe because they went all in on these renewables. And if the renewables don't make the power, what do they run? They run natural gas. They're already at low inventory levels of natural gas. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, prices are probably going to rocket here if they get this cold snap and if if wind power generation goes down. It says, while there's still hope that November temperatures on the whole could end up being close to normal, they will likely be cooler than the above average levels for the past 4 years, according to AccuWeather data. It says that could also impact gas storage levels as companies withdraw supplies to meet higher demand, already roaring back as economies recover from the pandemic. The chart here is this guy here, the latest ECMF month ahead. Here it is coming on down. This is the 30-year normal average here coming down for the temperatures. This is mean temperature, and this is your date. That's the average normal coming on down here. And we're probably going to come somewhere down here. So we've got, meanwhile, number of heating degree days, a measure of demand, will be higher than the 10-year normal during the next 2 weeks, according to Maxar, but there's still some uncertainty between models for Northwest Europe. The arrival of cold weather in Europe would allow freezing temperatures and snow in China, and the world's biggest energy consumer. Higher heating demand could intensify the already fierce battle for liquefied natural gas cargoes, with prices for flexible U.S. LNG still more attractive in Asia. The development of La Nina weather pattern in the Pacific Basin means possible cooler than average temperatures in Northeast Asia during the winter months, but better availability at nuclear reactors in Japan and South Korea, as well as higher domestic output in China, could keep increases in LNG imports in check. Meanwhile, perhaps not having received the latest weather update, in a note published late on Sunday, Goldman writes that while November weather in Northwest Europe looks close to the 10-year average, Goldman maintains the view that TTF needs to rally further from current levels to balance supply availability and demand destruction. Specifically, despite the recent sequential increase in Russian supply, we believe that the scale of the remaining shortfall of Russian flow warrants a $5 upside to TTF from 25 currently to 30. So I've been watching this. I've been looking at kind of my portfolio and some extra income that I have coming in and where to deploy it. And I do think that natural gas, remember, I don't think that when I look at things, I look at downside and upside. And I think oil could have massive upside coming up over the next year or so. And perhaps natural gas will also have quite a bit of upside. So when these things spike, and I don't necessarily want to spike, I want a nice, smooth kind of move upward. But if weather comes in and hits something, we could see a big spike upward, and maybe I'll let the profits ride and take my original amount out with the money that I might put in here in some other more higher risky stuff. We'll see. We'll see what I determine. But I'm watching the weather over there, just seeing what's going to happen. I think natural gas could have a big move to the upside, even in America at some point. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.